And we're live.
Hi, hello, and welcome back to another very exciting episode of the Nincompoops podcast. I'm your host, Paul, along with my fellow co-hosts, Jim and Dean. How are you guys doing on this very warm day today?
Uh, it's trying to stay cool.
It's
Yeah, it's scorching.
it is scorching. Fortunately, I do not have work today, so if I were outside, I'd be freaking dying because it's about 90 something plus degrees today. Even just being stuck indoors, I was like, I don't want to do anything. I felt so lazy. And I was like, I just want to go back to sleep. But even then,
Take a
like,
nap.
I took two naps today,
Nice.
just to try to avoid the heat. It's just been sapping hot air or just hot weather. It just saps all of my energy, and I don't want to do anything. It's legitimately the worst feeling in the world for me.
Yeah. Well, I have a slight breeze, but the heat is just too strong today.
Mm-hmm. I
Yeah,
mean,
it's always tough.
it's normally colder or like a little bit cooler where you are down in Hollister, right, Dean?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So it's like the weather is like if it's like warmer where you guys are at, and it's kicking ass right now.
Oof.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. I have the AC on right now,
I might
and
turn on the AC later.
mine turns on automatically. That only started about like I say about 2 hours ago,
Mm-hmm.
and right now everything feels fine. But up until then, it's like oof. I can't with this weather. It's just kicking my ass right now.
Yeah, I have my
Hmm.
fan on in my room. It's cooling my room down. It was kind of hot earlier. I was like, dude, what the? And then like turning it on, it's like, okay. Now it's getting cooler.
Mm.
The air is circulating.
I was wearing a tank top just before the podcast started, and I was heavily debating continuing to wear that tank top just because I get more airflow. But I was like, I guess I should try to look more presentable, I suppose, and went with something else.
I was not gonna wear pants or anything, just underwear. But
Just underwear.
I figured if I'm gonna get up sometime in the middle of this, then it's probably for the best that I don't.
I mean, I got shorts on right now. That's as low as I'm gonna go,
Yeah,
until it's time for bed. Then everything is coming off. Only on the super desperate days where I'm like, all right, the underwear's going. I'm going full commando. I'm going full nude to try to beat this heat.
that sounds awful. You have a leather chair too. You just be your balls will just be sticking to the chair.
Yeah.
No, not
It's
the
like
chair. I mean,
one of those
when I go to
hand
bed,
things. Those sticky hand things as
Yeah,
like the toy. It's like
oh, the
yeah.
extendo hand
Isn't
thing.
his
yeah.
entire chair's sweaty except for the one part where it resembles like a ball, like dick and balls.
Yeah.
I freaking hate. I was never. I don't know about you guys. I was never a fan of those sticky toys back when I was a kid. Even now, like those extendo hand ones, or like those like watery puff balls. You know that.
Those are actually therapeutic. So I like those ones because
Like the squishy balls, like
yeah.
The ones you get
uh,
like from like the 25-cent machine or something like that as a little kid, or something like that.
Yeah, I
yeah.
like
It
those because it like massages my hand. So
I never liked them because every time I would like hold them, it would leave like a weird smell behind,
oh,
and
you just wash it off.
I hated that smell. I was like I would have to wash it off every time like I held it. Even as a kid, I was like,
I only play it that whenever I get it, that's the only day I play it. Then it's like, all right, I don't want to play it anymore.
you're like that one Andy meme from Toy Story. He's like,
Yeah,
I'm done with you.
yeah,
He
I'm done
drops
with
it.
you.
Yeah,
Oh,
those I just remember. I remember in elementary we'd get like random toys, and then what happened most of the time was that the kids would just like throw it up on the roof, and the hands would just stick on the roof until like
Oh
someone
yeah, we do
got it
those things
down.
too.
Yeah, that was like the most you can do with them. They were like,
Have you
they're
thrown
whatever.
pencils?
Oh, the
That's the
pencils. Would you
same.
ever get like
Yeah,
you get like the pencil and put like halfway across the end of your desk, and then you just like bang the end as like hanging off,
Yeah.
and just launch it into the air. They would like
yeah.
stick up there, and it was low key kind of dangerous, but at the same time, a lot of fun. I don't think I did it too much though, because I
Yeah,
was
I
a
didn't do it too
goody.
much.
I was a goody two shoes, so I didn't want to get in trouble.
I mean, kids are dumb as fuck, bro. They would just do the wildest things to entertain themselves. Remember that game where you would have like your hands together and you would try to break their thing, and then if you break it, it goes down to like the middle finger, and then it keeps
Yeah,
going
yeah, yeah.
down.
Yeah.
That was the dumbest game, but people just did it because I was just like, this is fun, and then we just did it
I
past time.
I don't know. I low key thought that game was kind of fun. Like
No,
if
it wasn't no chopsticks. Chopsticks was the
You
game
know,
for me.
learning chopsticks as an immigrant from a different country was mind blowing. Like, this is a game. You play with these. These are so entertaining. I've never had these.
Yeah.
what? Wait. Was that game not the one with the hands? Was that not chopsticks, or was that like something
That
else?
was
No,
something else.
chopsticks is
Chopsticks
the
was
one where
the
you start with one finger each. If you hit their
Oh,
when their
I
hands,
remember.
it adds the number of fingers you have up. So then if you hit it, they have two. They hit one of your fingers, then you
I
have three.
remember. I
You try
remember
to knock
now.
out both hands. Yeah,
that was game breaking.
Okay, yeah, I remember that game now. It's been a super hot minute since
That
I
was like
last
the
thought about that game.
PS5 of
of handheld
yeah,
games.
of handheld games of PS5.
Not even handheld. It's literally just a hand game.
Yeah.
You can't go any more portable than that.
Yeah, you can bring it with you everywhere.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Another game. I think this is a little older. Like I don't think this was a game that people played when they're like 8, but I think when they're like 10 or 12, people start playing like Ninja. Where, for those those of you who don't know, it's like pretty much everyone. You keep your hands up. Also, another hand game you can bring everywhere, and you try to like hit their hand, but it's like a turn-based thing where everyone's like in a circle and you try to hit everyone else's hands. And if they hit if you get your hand hit or you hit someone else's hand, they lose that hand and they only have one left, and it keeps going until there's only one person left. It's like a battle royale that's turn based.
Yeah. The first
Yeah,
battle royale.
Shit,
yeah,
that was a lot of fun. There's a lot of games that are like coming back to me now.
yeah.
But those were a bunch of pastimes back in like high school.
But
I'll
probably
give me a joke.
these games probably aren't played as much now though, because kids have like phones now.
Yeah,
Like
phones.
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
I'll give
like
me a
we had Game Boys, but it wasn't like we can just whip it out and just go on it during lunch or something. Because
Yeah.
back then, it was a lot
very
more
strict.
enforced.
It was like
Yeah,
no handhelds.
I mean, with
yeah.
phones, at least you could like, if you're playing a game, you could like use an excuse of, oh, I'm just looking up the weather or the time, or I'm just searching up this thing. Whereas with a Game Boy, you're
It's not
like,
even that anymore.
there's
It was like
no,
that for us when phones were still kind of new. But then now people are just like, oh, every kid has a phone now. And then
Yeah.
as long as you don't whip it out during class or something, I don't think people care anymore.
That's true. That's true
Yeah.
as well. I mean, but again, as I said, like the Game Boy thing is just like there's no other excuse for a reason why you would have that out, even like during like lunch hours or school. Because I think they had bans on those
Yeah.
back in the
And
day.
not every kid had one too. It wasn't just like, oh yeah, they use their Game Boy to call their parents or something.
Yeah.
Just yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Pretty much. So yeah,
Yeah.
what have you guys been up to as of late? It's been about
Are
2 weeks now since our last episode.
Yeah, it's been 2 weeks. Episode are we on 80?
79.
79? Oh, I thought we were at
Yes.
80 by now.
Next week will be 80. If we do
Mm.
it next week. If we don't, then whenever,
It
Whatever
is
the
what-
next episode is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Whenever the next episode is, yeah, it is what it is.
This past week, my wrist. It's not my whole wrist. It's like my joint right here.
Oh
hurts.
no.
So if I move it side to side, it felt like it was coming out.
Is that your mouse hand?
Yes.
That might be
Oh,
carpal tunnel.
it could be.
No, it's something with the ligament. So
You sure? Because
yeah.
sometimes it tricks you. Because I had carpal tunnel for a period, and I thought it was a bone thing, but it was just like the nerves. So
No, mine was
it feels
definitely
very
the
similar.
bone. Cause
Oh, okay.
my bone would move. I could feel it. And then I had Suzette feel it. Like I was doing this, and then it would move towards this way, and I was like, "Fuck!" It's
Some,
that one
some
injury I had in the Navy
What?
where I fucking twisted it so hard that it fell out of place, and then I had to get like a fucking brace for it.
so
Take
something.
like
So it just so that ligament just randomly popped out again
yeah, and I'm like,
recently.
yeah, it hurt so it was hurting so bad,
Hmm.
Oof.
like every time I like moved my wrist, it would like, so I had like a wrist brace, and then I iced it. Every night I would put Tiger Balm. I would like dash a Tiger Balm in there, and then it's gone now.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's gone.
All right. I was about to say like that fucking sucks
Yeah,
because
it was annoying.
I had a similar injury I think sometime last year or like a year and a half ago when back when I played Valorant a lot more regularly and I would just go to the shooting range all the time and I just injured my wrist that way. So yeah, it's like it's the curse of getting older, you know. Whereas you're not as young and spry as you used to be.
Yeah, so it was just that.
Okay. Well, I'll just say, for the past like couple days now, I've been like looking up videos of how to like, you know how we do like this podcast like once a week, once every couple weeks.
Mm-hmm.
The main thing we do is
Yeah.
like talking and all that.
Mm-hmm.
I have become very self conscious these past couple weeks about the way I speak and the way I talk
Oh.
and all that. At first, the first thing I noticed was sometime last year when I went to Florida and spoke with like other like flight candidates and all that. And the most common thing would be whenever I spoke, people would say like "what" and all that, and I had to repeat myself like multiple times. And I thought, like, oh, that's kind of weird. Maybe it's because I'm from California or something like that. But there were like two guys from California that everyone else spoke to, and everyone understood fine. It's just for me, for some reason, people had a hard time understanding me when I spoke. And it happens again now whenever I'm at work. So you guys might notice I'm speaking a little bit differently today for this podcast than I normally would be. Because one thing I was told is that apparently I speak too fast
Damn.
or like I have a very fast cadence and all that. So I've been trying to make like a concerted effort to try and slow my speech down a little bit, which is a little bit uncomfortable for me. But I wanted to hear your guys' thoughts on the entire thing about this whole talking business.
I mean, I don't know. With you, it's just maybe it's just because I'm used to it, but I think you speak just fine. But then again, I also listen to people like on podcasts and videos that talk really fast, so maybe I'm just used to it. Used to people talking fast in general, so I don't know. When people talk slower, I definitely do notice it, but I think it might be I don't even know if they're just talking slow or they're just talking normal, and I'm just not used to that. So I don't know.
Yeah,
It sounds
those
fine to me. So
yeah, those are my thoughts because normally whenever like if you had like an issue or a problem, you would go to like, your friends or your family because they probably know you best. But in this situation, I'm like, can I really like turn to these resources because they're probably just used to how I speak
Yeah.
and probably won't pick up any like, subtle differences or like problems in how I speak. Like those videos of like the Irish shepherd and all that, and you're like, you watch a video of it and you're just speaking, and you're like, I didn't. They're speaking English, but you have no idea what they're saying, and so you have to like get another guy to like come over and translate their English, so it's like in more understandable English, and you're like,
mm,
this is fucking weird. I feel as though this is like kind of a similar uh issue for me. So yeah,
yeah.
this past couple days I've just been like looking up videos like how how to talk like a normal person, or how to talk
Wonderful weather
normally.
we have here today, eh, Jim?
Something like that. And I was just thinking to myself, like, this is so fucking weird. I had to like learn how to practice doing something I have been doing my entire life, and it feels. I ain't gonna lie, it feels low key kind of humiliating in a way, you know,
Is it?
a little
Ah,
bit. It's like looking up videos like how to eat or how to breathe, and like how do you do this properly and all that. It's something I've been like becoming more and more self conscious about as time has been going on, and it's becoming more normal.
hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I talk a lot, so I don't know how I sound. Like I've listened to episodes of the podcast before, but it's the thing I cringe at most is usually like what my voice sounds like. But when it comes to like how I speak, I don't think I do it in a way that's different. Except maybe if I'm like autistically like talking about something I really like if I'm talking about like trains for like 30 minutes, I might be talking really fast then or something. I don't know. Like
Something you're passionate about, or you either speak too fast, or it's like a huge info dump, and you're worried like, are people really paying attention, or are they really interested in this topic? I suppose.
yeah, I don't know. It's just sorry. It's just that see this. I,
Yeah.
I fixate on things. Okay, like I just saw like there was a cat here, and I was like moving it, and then I just lost like my entire train of thought. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll have to ask a stranger how I talk, but I think I communicate just fine. But I also like speaking too, so I don't know.
Mm-hmm,
I don't
mm-hmm.
think I can really relate to you on that. Also,
Gotcha.
I know how to like manipulate my voice and all that stuff, which is like the thing that most people don't really care to learn because it's like whatever.
Yeah, you mentioned that before, like something about like actually speaking with your diaphragm of like
Yeah.
doing that consistently, or at least
Mhm.
it helps you with either like voice acting or something along those lines, or just like making voices.
Yeah. When
Yeah.
it comes to like voice acting or singing, like you can learn some tricks to kind of help you like maneuver that. Also, when you learn how to like speak, usually everyone speaks a very specific way that's like unique to them because they talk like that their entire lives, and no one's ever usually most people aren't like stop talking like that, so they just kind of keep going because they're like, okay, this is good enough, and and then you meet some people that they won't be able to understand you, like I imagine if you're like somewhere from the south, you might have a lot of trouble getting people to understand you if you go to like a different region, not just because of the way you talk. Like if you talk like this, you might sound different, but because like it might be because yeah, you just you just go with that for so long that we get used to it where you're from, and then as soon as you talk to people that you don't know as well, even if they're like from the same area as you, they might not be able to pick up on your like
Your
your
mannerisms or like
tone,
cadence.
mannerisms, cadence, yeah,
Yeah. All
or
that stuff.
your inflection and all that. Yeah, I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And some people might not be able to might not be able to like even like mentally process like some things you say. Like some would just like most of it might even just go past their brains, and their brains
That's
just kind of
me.
like toss it back out instead of trying to register what you said.
That's why I always say what every
It might
time
be
I
that
say
as well.
something.
There's
Yeah.
time you say what?
Yeah, every time I say what, it's not because I didn't hear you, because my brain just didn't process it. It just comes out.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's like one of those like many factors that like I'm thinking like, is it me or is it the person like not paying attention? But it's happened so often now that I'm starting to think I don't think the problem is other people. I'm starting to think the problem is me and all that. And it's been really defeating as of late. Because again, the one from last year, like okay, because other people from like different parts of the country. Here it's
Mm.
like, it's in the exact same city. There's no reason why people are having a hard time understanding what I'm saying unless I'm doing something wrong. So I've just been like doing that thing where as a teenager you become self-conscious about a lot of things, and right now it's the way I speak. If like am I going too fast or am I not properly enunciating my words and all that. It's been a
I
little bit of a ride right now.
I know you said that this is not it's probably not a California thing because some of the people you were with were Californians as well, but apparently Californians are known to speak faster, which is one thing that can help people on like kind of get what state you came from. Like they can kind of know you came from California if you talk a certain way. So that might be a part of it. Obviously California is a really big state, so maybe there
It
might be
could be it's
some.
different by regions of the state and all that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like people forget that California is one state, but it's very large compared to like the East Coast, where the accents there are all very different.
Hmm.
But the landmass is a lot smaller, but they're all connected to each other. So like
Yeah.
someone in New Jersey talks a different way about when they speak English, but then we go to New York, they talk more like this, and then go to Boston, they talk more like this, and it's like
That is very true.
yeah, I don't know. Might just be that for all I know.
Maybe,
And
maybe.
maybe you go south enough in California, you get the people around that just go, "Hey man, what's up? This is California, Holmes. We chilling over here, man." you
I mean,
know?
California is a big fucking state. It's like bigger than most countries, I reckon,
Yeah,
and all that.
landmass. It's probably like around the same as a lot of European countries too. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
It's yeah, or just like language is just like a fascinating subject,
Hmm.
It is.
and how like just like even like example just accents like from like different you could be like from the same country and have a different accent, or you could even be like from different parts of a city and have different accents. I hear in Britain that's a very common thing. Like you like go like 5 minutes north or south in either direction, and it's a completely different accent.
Yeah, yeah. There's so many variations that it's kind of hard to like to really get them all. Like for example, if you're like trying to do a good British impression, uh, if you talk like this, they might think like you're British, but then it sounds like gibberish to like another person who lives in like London. Like their accents like completely different, and so when people do British accents in American media, like a lot of TV shows, there's always like the token British character.
Yeah,
They like they that sounds like whatever to us, but in Britain, when they hear that shit, they're like, "What the fuck? That sounds like garbage. What type of hick shit is that?"
Yeah.
it's either hick. I hear like more posh accents in the UK. It's more towards the south, whereas if you go up further north, it sounds uh, a lot more like gibberish from what I hear,
Yeah, yeah, that's what I heard too.
for lack of a
It might
better
be it
word.
might be because you're closer to Wales, and further you go north, and the closer to Wales, the more people make random throat sounds and fuck goats and shit or sheep. I think one of the two.
I think it was sheep. I think you're thinking sheep. I think Wales and I think New Zealand have like that same sheep joke stereotype.
Yeah, yeah. So that's probably it. And I don't know how elitist they are about accents over there, but yeah, I think over here in America, I think we are a little bit more elitist about the standard American accent, which sounds like this and doesn't really have much like much inflection in certain words. So we don't emphasize like words differently. Like in New York, they make the sound a lot. So they always pronounce like orange to be like orange, and then we say orange, and in the South they say orange, like the South to be orange, and like that difference is like the difference between that and standard American thing. Like if a Southerner or New Yorker would move to like California, they'd probably be made fun of just because they pronounce things a little bit differently.
Probably,
Whereas,
probably.
yeah. So I think we're a little elitist about that too. I think the accents we're most receptive to because of not because of media and stuff is probably
It's
the
like
British accent. Although
British accent or like the Southern accent as well.
the British accent is being made fun of more though, which is good. More power away from them, the better. Um,
Back when Harry Potter was like very popular as a movie series, like people were like, "Oh, the British accent is so
so
refined,
sexy,
so
yeah.
sleek,
So
so
sick.
sexy." No,
Oh, oh, can you say that again? Oh, cheerio. Oh, that's so hot. But now it's
oh,
like now Americans are like, governor, it's our
Oh,
Tuesday. You want
it's our
to about
Tuesday, ain't it? It's morning hot broth.
Damn, dude, we sound really racist.
no, it's fine. It's fine.
It's like English banter, like English speaking banter. You know, we make fun of them for how they sound. They make fun of us for spelling things wrong all the time, or using them or not using the metric system. You know.
Using the metric system, or just just American things in general.
Yeah,
Especially
yeah.
when it comes to politics, but yeah.
It's friendly ribbing. You know. For the
Mm-hmm.
most part. Until people take it too seriously, then yeah, it's not so great. But it's all in good fun. It's just that yeah, I don't know. I think it's fine to make fun of people for the way they talk, as long as it's done in good taste.
Definitely in good taste. I mean, it's stereotypes happen for a reason because there is some grain of truth to it. Do you guys reckon that there is currently right now that same fascination with certain accents, the British accent used to be back in the day, where if you were to speak in a certain accent now, they were like, oh, drop the panties. It's amazing. Or you think there's nothing else like it at the moment?
I think French is still considered sexy. I think if
French?
you were yeah if you knew a little bit of French and you could speak in a French accent, I think some people might find that hot.
Maybe.
But I think they're gonna have their turn at some point. The Italian one is one that's being made fun of a lot too. Like the whole hey, mamma mia, you know.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
what
So
was it like?
I think the French will have their turn at some point. I think it's only fair, and you know, yeah.
I think the French a little bit less so than the British, just because I feel so the French is it's either way. I think it's on the fence whether or not people make fun of it or not, just because people still view the French as either sophisticated or cultured and good food, or they're they're obnoxious and they're self-centered and all that. It's it's either or. I think the British accent is just it sounds posh, and most people speak English, and what's the best English? England, of course. So it's a little bit more difficult, I reckon, to have something on the same level as a British accent.
Yeah. I think Americans are never gonna sound sexy because we're in so much media. Like we produce so much, uh, so many cultural culturally important films that it just sounds like normal to a lot of people outside of U.S. You know, so when they watch The Office for the eighth time in India, they're just like, oh yeah, America just sounds like that, and, and it doesn't sound special to them. Whereas in those same movies and shows, there's always that one British guy. They're like, oh, that sounds sexy, and, and they just
Oh, so sophisticated.
yeah,
You make me do the voice now too.
it's just all culture and what your culture is exposed to from the outside world and all that.
I hear a lot of British actors, for the most part, can know how to mimic a really good American accent really well, but it's not the other way around. Americans cannot really do a British accent that well. Just
Yeah,
because
I think it's because we produce so much more media than they do that
it's absolutely that, yeah.
it's easier for them to pick it up. Whereas with us, we don't like the most British we get is just the token British character. Whereas over there they have a whole bunch of shows that last three seasons that across 10 years with 5 episodes that they consume every now and then. I know the way they do shows over there is totally different, by the way. When we have The Office over here, we will have it for 10 seasons, for example, year after year, back to back. Over there they'll have 10 seasons, but those 10 seasons are spread across 30 years, and each season has 3 episodes. So
Really?
the way yeah, so because they do it like that, we don't really feel inclined to consume as much as well from them. So so we don't so we can't replicate the British accent very well, except for the again American doing a very token British accent. But most of the time they say it sounds awful. So yeah.
Yeah, true that. I mean, I think for the longest time, the most famous, quote unquote, British accent that we had was that. Was that the chimney sweeper from Mary Poppins and all that? That what was that phrase or that one name for that British accent? Just
Cockney?
Cogni. There we go. That's the
Cockney?
word.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was like an American dude, and it's, for the longest time we're like, oh, hey, up yo, in a way. That like some that sort of accent. It's like
Mm.
the Tuesday and the Waddle Bottle thing back in the day, before like Harry Potter came around.
Mm.
Hmm.
Yeah. And I think a lot of it has to do with like how culturally relevant the countries are. Like we're not gonna like when we hear like an accent, like a Mexican accent. I don't think, because of the way the world is. There's like a bunch of politics and societal things about that. We're not gonna find a Mexican accent very sexy compared to like a British one. I think has a lot to do with it as well as a lot of Middle Eastern accents. We're not gonna find as sexy as well, because a lot of
Hmm.
we don't associate Middle Eastern countries with high status, so we don't find it as rare or as attractive.
Yeah, not
Yeah,
unless you're thinking of like some kind of like rich Saudi prince and all that, and that'll probably be the only exception to the rule. But yeah, I get to what you're saying.
yeah,
I
and
mean, maybe to some extent, maybe like a Japanese or like a Korean accent, maybe
Maybe Korean.
would have that kind of
mm.
like similar status, but never on the same level as like a British accent.
I think it's usually Asian women who are seen as sexy, but it's more like the whole stereotype of like Asian women being like submissive and they're
Yeah,
very shy and
that
exotic and all that whole thing. I think it's different from the whole like refined British thing. It's a
yeah,
different type of sexy.
that yellow fever is definitely kind of a weird thing. How like I mean, it's okay to have like your tastes and your preferences when it comes to like people you're into, or like even races or ethnicities that you're into. But sometimes people like the yellow fever thing is definitely one of those things that feels like it goes a little bit too far. That people
Yeah,
obsess over
yeah,
that.
yeah. Again, I think it's just because Asians are a minority, and the women, because the women are seen as in the roles in their culture, they're more submissive, and therefore, I think maybe um because white people are the majority, they see that as like, oh, like I can fulfill that role for them as well, because maybe I don't get that same experience with people who have same skin color as me, but I can get that with Asian women in particular, and so they have that yellow fever thing, which is usually ends up with them being really creepy. Like if a white guy's dating an Asian girl, I don't give a fuck. Like that's not I don't really care why they got together or whatever. As long as they're happy.
Hmm.
But if
Yeah,
the reason why he got together is because he found her like sexy and he wants to fulfill like the dominant white man thing, then I think that's really fucking bizarre, and I think that's probably not the healthiest way to conduct a relationship.
and it also follows that idea of like the model minority sort of thing when it comes to Asians, and that like they're kind of like white people, but they're not. They're just better immigrants compared to like to the blacks and the brown people and all that.
Yeah, but the unfortunate part is that how they like with Asian men, for example, which fun fact includes all three of us, if you guys didn't know, is
Wow.
that Asian men are feminized in a lot of media, be- because it's for laughs, and we're not quite the same as white people, even though we have the model minority thing. We're not quite the same because we're a little more girly, like
Hmm.
our characters in TV shows is always either like, at best the most badass we can be is the kung fu guy. Like we can whoop anybody's ass, and we can do a bunch of backflips and switching musics. But
Yeah, but they're also like they're also seen as like kind of small and
yeah, for
unsuspecting,
the
but
most
not like
part we're
the
like,
huge like big brawly guy.
Yeah.
yeah, for the most part, we're in like sweater vests and preppy pants, and we wear glasses, and we like cartoons, and we're good at math, and that's all we do in TV shows. That we talk about how smart we are. Like, huh, I'm Thomas. I'm so smart. I can help you with your math homework. Like that's our entire character in the shows, and like it's getting better when it comes to like how they represent you know other minorities other than black people, but
Hmm.
you know there's some factor of it's always going to be there in a lot of shows. That's going to take a little time for the whole thing to go away, but yeah, for now it kind of sucks, but it's getting better at least.
Yeah, I've also saw like a tweet a couple weeks ago regarding like a quote unquote like voice actors or like just actors in general. Like, can
Mhm.
you make an Asian accent? Now I give you that phrase, and what do you think of when I say Asian accent?
If someone, let's say I was voicing a character and they're like, "Hey, do an Asian accent," I'm gonna think they want me to do like a standard Chinese accent.
Standard Chinese.
Yeah.
Some people have also like said in the reply stat to like when they think of like an Asian accent, they think of like Japanese and like I have my honor and I will do defend my family's honor and all that. That's like
Yeah.
that's usually what people think of like an Asian accent is like old samurai Japanese and then you sprinkle in like other things just like you do accent you talk about honor and all that and uh, as much as society has like moved forward since like the days of yore, there are reminders in how not as forward or like still a little bit backwards we still are from like the
Oh
old
yeah,
days of
yeah.
cinema.
I think it's about how people can recognize when they're acting that way because everyone has their own prejudices and stereotypes of and caricatures of certain people, regarding like what their social identity is. But I think it's more important to be cognizant of that because, for example, if I see like a black person, I will make like a mental note, like automatically. It's not something I actively think. It's just something that my brain just automatically files under. It's like, oh, black guy, he's not the same as me. He's different, and and you might have like a thought that comes on with that, like maybe you're in like a shady neighborhood and the black guy is wearing a hoodie over his head and then he's like has his hands in his pockets. You might think like, oh, I'm in danger, but the more important thing is not just to like isn't to be like, no, I need to stop thinking that right away because it's hard to do because when you see people who look different than you just do it automatically. You don't really have control over that.
It's a
It's
combination of like social conditioning and like a lot of like
Yeah,
old human traits from like way back when if you saw someone different from you, like you thought like, oh, they're from like a different tribe or something like that, or their
yeah.
competition.
The important thing is just to be cognizant of like how you uh react to the stimuli. If you see the black guy in the neighborhood, you have to recognize like, okay, maybe those first thoughts I thought weren't like the best thing to think. I'm gonna just mind my own business and not worry. If he talks to me, I'll talk to him back like a normal person, or I could just walk up to him like, hey, how you doing? It's about the decisions you make after your initial like prejudices, and I think
Hmm.
that's like really important, even if you're not familiar with people like let's say you've never been around black people your entire life. It's important to have that ability to do that because a lot of people surprisingly do not have that ability, and that's why you get things like like racial conflicts and people being awkward against people who don't look like them. Like that thing happens, but it's important about how you deal with that, and that comes along with like other things too, like even if it's just like, oh, I'm the Vietnamese guy. How do I act around this Vietnamese girl? You might get that initial like, oh, she's a Vietnamese girl. She's different from me, but how you respond to that is really important. Don't be like, hey, this is a Vietnamese girl. She's submissive. I'm gonna approach her uh using my dominant Vietnamese male status, and I'm gonna play into the roles and then interact with. No, that's weird. Just
No, yeah, no,
just treat them
don't do
like a
that.
regular person. They're not different from you. Then they're not really that different from you. Just treat them like a regular person. That's it.
Pretty much, and yeah, I've definitely had those like similar thoughts too when I was like younger, and I like to think to like a lesser extent now where I'm like I see someone who's like different from me, that have like a different skin tone from me. I'm like, oh, it's subconscious. Like you keep that like you act differently without even realizing it.
Yeah,
But I think I would hope as time moves forward that becomes less and less uh, common, and that I want to think that a lot of these behaviors that we have, or I have towards like people of different races, is because like society or like media has been like conditioned us to like think that way. Whereas I
yeah,
hope
yeah,
like in the future, like eventually at some point, people are like, yeah, it's just a normal it's just another person. Like there's not really that much different from me. Like it's literally just like the pigment of your skin, or just like you got like a different tan from the sun. That's literally the only difference.
Yeah, and like this is a kind of political thing, but I'm not going to go in too much into that like specifically. Is that immigration is a big thing? Like people from all over the world are going to move where you live at some point. It's I don't think it'll be the case where the demographics in each state in the U.S., for example, is going to stay the same. At some point, there's going to be a lot of like people moving from California to other states. A lot of problems, a lot of reasons why that's happening as well. But the more people from outside the U.S. that go in, the more you're exposed to people who look different than you, as well as people who might not share the same values as you. But as you know interact with them, maybe it won't be immediately. Maybe it'll be like a generation or two as their kids like get older and they become Americanized, and we all kind of like go through the same thing together. And we speak same language. It'll be a lot easier for us to not have those more negative prejudices in our minds. It'll be our interactions with people may not be anything more than like, oh, he's like a little bit more wealthier than me or anything. Like as
Mm-hmm.
time goes by and people in the countries around the world get more and more racially diverse to the point where people start uh getting together interracially, that we won't have to worry about that as much anymore, which I think would be cool.
Which would be really cool. Like that would
Yeah,
be a great thing for that to like eventually happen. My only worry is that the reason why that's happening is usually like you go back to like climate change and all that, and like migrating out of like certain areas because it gets too fucking hot, or like sea
yeah,
levels and all that. Like
yeah,
today it's fucking warm as shit. If I had the opportunity, if it became like maybe like 10 or 20 degrees hotter than it is right now, and it stayed like this like all year round for forever, I'd happily consider like I'm going to leave this area. This sucks. I'm going to move to like Alaska or something, somewhere colder at least, because I hate the heat. And if a lot of people do that at the same time, then it's going to lead to like a lot of like conflict, even more than we have now with like immigration and all that.
yeah. I mean, there's always gonna be a little bit of conflict at the beginning, but it's just a matter of just getting exposed to them, just like understanding that, yeah, this person that I was told like is so different from me, and they're trying to take away things I value. They're really just like me, like they're trying to feed their families, and they're just regular guys who happen to like football just like I like football, and um,
Are we
it just
talking football, or we talking football?
football,
Football.
which it depends on what country you live in, but yeah, I don't know. I think that'd be cool. It's just yeah, it just really depends on what the reason is for migration. Like if it's like anything that's framed negatively rhetorically, it's like, oh, these immigrants are taking your jobs, then yeah, there'll be some racial conflicts then. But if it's just people coming in, then I think it'll be a lot easier that way. But it takes a lot more to get that happening though, which is unfortunate because
Mm-hmm.
yeah, a lot of
Yeah.
political reasons why that's difficult. But I think it's getting better, at least in some ways anyway.
Slowly but surely. I just hope for like one day where if we aren't dead in like 50 years or so to like climate change, like if we ever get to like call I was about to say colonize other worlds, but now I've become like
Damn,
sensitive to that word. If we're
imperialist
Conquer
able,
Paul.
other worlds. Yes, yes.
yeah, conquer other worlds. If we're able to like travel to other worlds and like build colonies, there's no other way to say it. I was like I'm a pro imperialist colonizer when it comes to like other planets, but because like yeah pro human race and all that, screw the aliens.
And then we
But
tell ourselves that it is God that wants us to be there.
it's our space lord,
Yeah.
Rico the spaghetti god, telling
Rico
us
the
to do it.
Spaghetti that tells us
Rico.
that this is our land.
To where like if we get to that point where like we going to other planets is a common and regular thing, then people are just like, oh yeah, I mean, hopefully the division's not like based on race. I'm like, it. I mean, I would hope for like no conflict between like planets and all that, but it's like
It just
who
depends on
who
the
knows?
status of the aliens. If they're like the giga intelligent fucking tentacle monsters that are like 800 times stronger than us, I think we're pretty fucked. If they are like, hey, let's take this planet's resources, or hey, these people are trying to invade us. The fuck, who do they think they are? Like, I think we might be fucked then, but it just depends on the status of the other aliens, really.
Yeah, I mean, as time moves forward, I've even though I do believe in like extraterrestrial life on other planets, I'm starting to like lose more and more hope that we'll be able to find them or see them. Maybe we will, and our technology is just not there yet, or they haven't found us, or we haven't found them. But I'm starting to think like it's probably not going to happen. Because if you subscribe to the Big Bang Theory, like you imagine like an explosion or like a ripple in the pond where all the waves move outwards. Eventually, the planets themselves are also like moving outwards too, and so distance to travel between like one place in the solar system or like the universe gets exponentially farther away, and that just like decreases chances of finding like anyone else out in the universe.
Uh, I mean that is true, but I think you're thinking like,
Too long
too
term.
small. You're thinking too long term of it because
I think so.
we're beings that are probably not going to live past 100. And
Yeah.
not that any of us won't. It's just that the odds are pretty against us. And if we think long term, then yeah, that is true. But within our lifetime, if aliens have the technology to travel from their galaxy to ours, and it's in our lifetime, then they will do it in our lifetime. But if they don't have the technology, and yeah, that will never happen. It just really depends on what technology that they have, because we know what our technology can do. We can't really go past a certain distance with our satellites or whatever. We can only do so much. The best we can do is
Mhm.
just upgrade our satellites and our cameras to the point where we can, see reach out as far as we can before we reach our limits, or until we find we create our own spaceships. But that's not going to happen within our lifetimes. We're 20 something. We're not going to live to like 200. I don't think that's going to happen, unless some like
Giant leap in
giant
technology or
giant
medicine.
breakthrough, like, or multiple giant breakthroughs happen, and within
Yeah.
a short succession. I don't think we'll see them in our lifetime. Um,
Cybernetics.
Up on cybernetics, up until you see like the rich people or like the elites living up to that age, it's not going to happen for a pretty long time because
yeah,
they're the ones getting that stuff
yeah.
first.
If aliens and some other planet, if they have the technology to do it, they will do it in our lifetime. But if they don't, then if they're as intelligent as us, assuming that they are, because the universe is ever expanding, which means that there's increased chance of life, and amongst the life, they have to be intelligent enough to be able to like create a civilization and then create technology. It's like so many factors that
Plus
goes
you.
into it,
Hey,
that it's really hard to say. Although, if you look at the math, I'm pretty sure it all spells out no, we will not see aliens in our lifetime ever.
I know who's gonna see the aliens.
Yeah, in our lifetimes probably not.
It's
But
Queen
then you would
Elizabeth. She'll be there.
Or even like
Queen Elizabeth.
Yeah.
You reckon
even
she's even still alive, or she's just like that? Those pictures you see of her, do you think she's like a
they still have
corpse?
a queen. Apparently, like a lot of British people hate the queen because she doesn't fucking do anything except take tax dollars from them, and then they just live like extravagant lives doing absolutely jack shit. They have no influence in politics. They have no influence
Yeah,
in
isn't
any decision making.
aren't they
They're
just
just
like celebrities?
basically, they're like the
Yeah,
Kardashians, basically,
yeah.
yeah. And so people, but except they take our money with our tax, or not our money. I'm not British, but they take the British people's tax money to just just be balling. So a lot of British people hate them, and the conservative British people are like, oh, this is part of our culture. Our queen is it's such a big status of who we are as people. But yeah, but I think for the most part, people, they don't like the queen.
She's
I
too
hear a lot of
popular.
British. I hear a lot of British people are not super fond of the Queen anymore. But like, if you go to like other cultures or other countries, they're like they love the Queen of England.
Really? That's
That,
cringe.
yeah, that's what I hear. It's like either like other Commonwealth countries or just like like other parts of Europe. They love the Queen of England for some reason or the other.
Yeah,
I
but
don't know
it might
why.
just be like outside my politics. I think a reason why I could never be into that because I just really don't give a shit about people like celebrity culture or anything like that in general. So
Yeah, yeah,
even outside of politics, if I like an actor, the extent of how much I like them is just like, hey, like are they good? Are they a good actor? And are their politics not terrible? Or are they a good person other than what they do? Then I'll be like, okay, they're a cool person, but I wouldn't like stand them. Um, uh, but yeah, if they set off all those flags, then yeah, like fuck them. But for the most part, I do not care if like Britney Spears, sorry, she has like a lot of stuff going on. But let's say
yeah,
I do
yeah.
not care if Selena Gomez is on her fifth boyfriend in the same year. Like that shit does not matter. I don't care if a person like bought their fifth car as long as we tax the fuck out of them. Like um
True that.
yeah, like it's all that stuff. So yeah, I don't give a shit about celebrities in general. Musicians, another class of people I do not give a fuck about. I have so many songs on my phone that from people that I think make good music, like Bruno Mars. I think makes a lot of good songs. But Bruno Mars, the person, I could not give a single shit about. Okay, he could like drop dead the next week. I'd be like, damn, that kind of sucks, and then just like move on with my life. Like his like existence to me is just like, oh, is this a banger song? Then that's
He's a
about it.
musician. That's why
I
we
have a lot
get
of I have a lot of K-pop songs, but I would never give a fuck about any of those K-pop the K-pop singers or bands or whatever the fuck.
yeah.
I think a lot of that is tied to like how much you have of an interest in those things, though. Like, I know you're not a super big like movie buff or like a music buff or like like K-pop stan or all that, but you and I both know we both follow politics a lot, and when the late great Michael Brooks passed away, I think that definitely hit us like a little bit harder than most other people, just because we follow
Yeah,
politics a lot more.
it's about the impact they have in our lives. Like if like for example, if John Cena died, because he was my favorite wrestler growing up, I'll be a little bit hit more than usual because I'm like, oh
Yeah,
damn, I used to watch it. I used to love watching him wrestle and stuff when I was a kid. So that would like affect me a little bit more. But if Hulk Hogan died, who's also a wrestler, but he was a wrestler before my time, that I'll be like,
No,
that guy
that would be
sucks.
so
Or
I was
sad.
about to say like he's
Oh
your
no,
brother,
brother.
brother.
no, okay, Hulk
Come
Hogan.
on,
We meme
Mike.
about it, but he's like a giant racist. So as a person, I don't care for him as well.
I like his
Okay, fair
personality as
enough.
Hulk Hogan,
Fair enough.
not the real Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
The one that says
And like
Hulk.
Kobe Bryant, when he passed, he affected a lot of people because a lot of
He
people
did.
used to watch Kobe growing up. Like people our age, I think the younger people don't watch him; they watch like LeBron, I think.
Yeah.
But when Kobe passed away, it affected a lot of people in ways they didn't expect.
Yeah,
It's just yeah,
it was out of the blue as well. Like
It's a helicopter crash. It's
he's
definitely literally out of the blue.
yeah.
yeah.
But if Steph Curry died, like I think it would hit me a little bit less, only because I don't watch basketball. I recognize that that's a big impact on like the NBA field,
Yeah.
but how it affects me personally, it wouldn't be like I wouldn't be devastated over it or anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, again, I think a lot of it is just tied to like how much of an interest and how much investment we have into these interests.
Yeah,
Is if
like if
someone
Bernie
prominent,
Sanders died,
yeah,
if Bernie Sanders dies, there's a good chance I'll outlive him, uh, but if he dies, yeah, that's gonna be quite a blow for me.
yeah.
Even though
It's
it wouldn't be a blow on like Dean because Dean, wasn't like a Bernie guy.
I'm a nothing guy, a
Yeah, he's a nothing
politics
guy.
guy.
yeah. The only reason why Dean knows a little bit of politics is just because we talk about it so often that it's a sponge. It just happens like naturally.
I'm learning.
He's learning
Just
whether or
like
not he wants to.
just like that one phrase, soak it in like a sponge. I'm learning.
Yeah.
If there's anything I hope I taught Dean is that when people die, it's bad, and when people don't die, it's good. I hope he's learned that.
Oh no! Oh no!
Damn. Had to make him be like a decent human being.
It's a hot take. I know. It's a hard lesson I have to teach people. But I hope I teach people that in my lifetime. That's all I care about, okay?
That, or at least the second best, trains are fucking awesome.
Trains are
Yeah.
awesome.
Yep.
That's why my next date, bro, I'm gonna autistically like talk about trains the whole time, and even I think I told Paul this already, but even if I never see her again, at least she'll come out of it knowing more about trains than before.
Yeah, did you know if we have a bullet train in California, it would take us 3 hours to get to San Diego? 3 hours instead of the regular 8 hours.
Yes.
So two outcomes. One, she goes out with me and she becomes my girlfriend. I win. Two, she never sees me ever again because she hates me. But she knows more about trains and then she starts liking trains. I also win.
It's a win-win.
Situation.
It's a win-win.
And that's why I am the champion.
All
Wait,
right.
it
Yeah.
doesn't
Right.
capture it
We
very
did.
well. Hold on.
Yeah. I totally forgot to mention we did the belt thing last week
Yeah.
at the Dino
Yeah, I
household.
am the champion, bitch.
To be fair though, it's not the greatestly earned belt for the first time. We
I
waited
earned it.
up.
I
We
beat four other people.
We
okay?
waited up until
I beat
the
four other
last
people.
possible moment to start doing the competition when 2 people had already left because they had to leave, and we couldn't. Half the competition was already gone.
Is this copium? Is someone coping? That's what
It's
it
not.
sounds like to me. I
It's
am the
not
champ,
copium.
bitch.
2 people had already left. 3 people were already falling asleep by that point. You were not going up against any competition. There's nothing to cope about
No,
in
I
that
beat
situation.
four other people. I beat four other people. Jeffrey knocked out me and Dean beat you both, and I beat Dean.
The most
Okay,
jankiest way.
I earned this. Okay, chances are we have the same amount of people every time as well. So I think I earned it. I think I am a good first champion, maybe the best champion there'll ever be.
You know what? I'm low key kind of glad that we didn't go out to hang out today, because then you would have had to bring the belt, and then we had a competition between like 3, maybe 4 people. And had I won the belt in that situation, I'd have been like, "This ain't a real win." It's like winning a belt while playing rock paper scissors or playing Uno with 2 people.
This is why you can't be a good heel. Okay, a good heel takes any wins, no matter what. Even if the tournament's between me and Cloud, and I beat Cloud in Mario Kart, I'll still take it because a win's a win and a championship's a championship.
You'd still talk shit to Cloud's face.
I could be facing Paul in Smash Bros. I bop him with a steel chair to the back. He's writhing in pain, and then I 3-stock him. That's still a win, baby. Woo!
You know what? You're right. You are a heel. You are an asshole.
Yep.
Well, hopefully we get more people next week for it.
Yeah.
Next
Next week.
week.
I already asked some people. Kenny, for example, said he's gonna try to get Friday off because he has Thursday off. He's trying to switch with someone who has Friday off. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Hopefully turnout will be better because today when yesterday, Jeffrey told me he wasn't gonna go. So it was him and another person you confirmed not going. So it was gonna just be me and Paul. So I messaged Paul like, hey, if you still want to go, just be the two of us.
I was initially down to go, but then I just woke up today and I was just not feeling it. I waited like up until around the time we would normally leave. I'm like, I'm still not feeling it.
Judging from Jeffrey's message yesterday, I thought he was coming, but a little bit later.
Yeah. So him and the guest, yeah, weren't gonna go today unless we picked up the guest. But that's like a maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but
Was
hopefully next
Kenny
week will be
off
better.
Today?
Kenny off today? No.
Okay.
He was working today up until today. He's working. I don't know if he's closing or opening or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But yesterday he was working, but he got off early, so he was able to get Korean barbecue with me, Jeffrey, and the other guy. I don't know if he would want me to name him or not. I don't think he would care, but yeah, so just in case.
Yeah, just in case.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Joram, he was actually gonna go today, but yesterday he got a call from a nearby city about working for them.
Oh
And
wow!
the interview was today. I'll tell you after the podcast.
No, good for him. Good on him.
Yeah. So the interview was like 1:30 today or something. So he wasn't sure when it was going to be, so he had to cancel today. So
Yeah, makes sense.
yeah. But yeah, hopefully we get a turnout next week. I also got the Mario Soccer game, which I've been dying to play with you guys because that one's up to 8 players. I think that'd be kind of cool.
Oh hell yeah! Okay.
Yeah.
So one of the Wii controllers is not working.
But you got the other one to work?
It won't sync. Yeah, one of the blue ones won't sync.
Oh, okay. That sucks.
Like the other blue one, I think if we leave it as the first player, it'll work. And then we have both threads as like second and third.
Mhm.
That's what I learned last night.
Gotcha. All right, lads. It's been about an hour.
It
Yep.
is. We're an hour even and some seconds now.
Yep. Let's wrap this sucker up because I have to go pick up food right now.
I am very hungry.
Hey, you gonna drop any off for me, bro?
Yeah, can you drop off some food?
Yeah,
Yeah.
for me and Dean.
Yeah, sure. Tell me what you guys want. I'll swing by. Even Dean.
What kind of food place is it?
I was thinking of getting. I was going to go pick up a pizza from Little Caesars, and then
Oh shit! Yeah,
I was going.
Get me like give me the Bet Ussy pizza.
That Ussy.
Yeah, the Bet Ussy.
Okay, I'll try my best to find like a bit Ussy pizza for you.
I thought you were getting sushi.
I was also going to get sushi. I was about to mention that before Dean really wanted to get that pizza.
Yeah,
I was also going to get sushi just because today I feel as though it's a hot day and I wanted something like relatively cooler and refreshing. And fish, it seemed like that for me.
Oh, okay.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Which is weird to hear you say that because you hate fish generally.
Normally I do, but I really do enjoy sushi, so that's
You like
something
poke?
I'll take.
Have you ever had poke?
I've had poke, yeah.
Yeah,
Do you feel
I
the same way, or is it like different to you?
It's I've only had it like 2 times. First time I had it, pretty good. Second time I had it, it was like it was a miss for me. So I haven't
That'd
gone
be the
there's
price.
maybe the place, but I haven't gone back since
yeah,
to that place.
I should get some poke.
Yeah.
Yeah, poke's like the easiest thing for me to get, but it's not sushi. Sushi, like, I just like it. I just like it being bite sized. That's like more. That's what I like about it more than anything. Poke,
Yeah.
it's just for those of you who don't know, it's like think of like a burrito bowl versus a burrito, which is like a sushi roll.
Yep. Pretty
Yeah.
much.
Okay. Anyway, if you guys enjoyed today's episode, let us know in the comments or with a like. You know, drop them bitches, bitch. And if you don't do so, then you suck because I'm the champ and I said so. But yeah, anyway, leave a comment. Okay, we enjoy getting comments. We got one like a couple weeks ago from Joram on one of our videos. But if Joram, if you're listening to this, hey, drop more comments.
And you suck dick.
Wow.
And you and if you hang out with us, you might have a chance to bring this one with you.
Yeah,
Okay.
an opportunity. You can challenge him at any game you want.
Indeed.
By the
indeed.
way, I'm also the belt commissioner, so I set up the games and the rules. But I think I'm really good at making it fair. I'm not gonna make it so that it favors me every single time, because obviously that's not fair. And I like to win my championships fair and square, except when I hit them with a steel chair.
Of course.
Nice.
Yeah. But yeah, other than that, hope you guys enjoyed today's episode, and this episode will be up soon on YouTube sometime today. With the other 78 episodes already up on YouTube. We have a wide variety of topics ranging from hentai to porn to hentai to
To the bidets and toilets and trains.
today's fast food and then hentai. Yeah. If you watch this on YouTube, you can watch us live. Whenever we feel like it on Fridays at 6:30.
It will be a Friday, 6:30. Just don't know if it's that Friday or the other Friday.
If you know when we hang out, then you'll know when we're not streaming. That's the rule.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, other than that, hope you guys have a wonderful day. Peace.
Later.
Later.